Hello everyone, I am here today with a new process video. I'm working on a double pager here, 6x8 on one side, 4x8 on the other, and these are from San Francisco. These are the painted ladies, the beautiful houses that are often shown on TV when people are talking about San Francisco. We did actually go over there, got to see them, which was very fun. I loved the whole neighborhood surrounding that. I just love the architecture of the houses. So if you're ever in San Francisco and you're wondering, like, should I go and do that? Is it worth it? I personally loved it. There's a big park right there. You can see part of it here, but it's up on a hill. And then we actually went to a little cafe that was nearby, a couple blocks away when we were done here. So it's a very cute neighborhood. So in terms of what I am scrapping, you can see I have 3 photos here. This one has to stay. This I need to obviously show where we were. I am not 100% convinced that I need this one. You can kind of tell just the side view. These are the same people who got my shot, but this one's just looking more a little left so that you can see the houses that are on the cross street there. But I'm not convinced I need that. If I just had these, I think it would be okay. I do have this also from a digital set that I bought. I would love to be able to use this, like the blues there too, and purple here, work really well, especially with this photo. But I'm not quite sure how to incorporate that. I may go on to Pinterest. I have a bunch of scrapbooking ideas pinned on there. Yes, I still use Pinterest. I would maybe have some inspiration for how to include this and how to build my own card if I went on there and looked at some of my pins. So I think I may do that just to get an idea, do I need to work this in, or could I make a card that is quote unquote good enough that works here if I found something? Well, I have learned something interesting. I just went into Pinterest to look over my pins, and I have several boards, some is specific to travel scrapping, some is just generic pocket scrapping and combinations thereof. I have discovered that in most of those layouts, I would say 90%, a 4x6 pocket is a photo, not a card. And I know 4x6 cards, both horizontal and vertical, seem to be harder to come by, especially if they're vertical. But even horizontal, harder to come by. Well, that's because people aren't using them, or at least apparently what I'm seeing on Pinterest. And I never noticed it till just now when I'm trying to build one. So that's interesting. So I think I'm going to wing it. I'm just going to do my own thing here and hope that it turns out okay. First thing I did was I went into my blue scraps to see, do I have something I could cut into a 4x6 here that I like? I do have this piece in there. So clearly I cut off a little bit for something from a 12x12. It's a little dented, but if I cut it correctly, and plus if it's flat, you won't really see that. So I'm probably going to use this. I could also look through, I have some 4x6 cards that I have cut just over the years that are just generic pattern paper. There might be a subtle pattern I could use, but I'm gonna guess probably gonna go with this one. And then I want to fussy cut around this. I think that will help me kind of build a fun, visually interesting card. I have my card cut here, and I fussy cut this, so that's ready to go. I also decided to cut down this photo if I want to use it. I'm not sure that's going to work. I could cut it down even more if I wanted to. I don't need all this blank sky, but it does leave me the option to stamp on there right now if I wanted, so that's good. But I think I'm going to have to do some kind of a white cardstock banner or something, because I think what I want to do is spell out painted ladies with alpha stickers, which I have plenty of. And then I can't decide, do I want a solid color? Do I want a mix of these colors? I do have some older sets from SEI. That lets you know how long they've been in my stash. SEI. I have some multicolored alphabets that might work with these colors, or I can just mix and match what I have, or I could do painted in all one color, ladies in another color. I'm just not sure. But I've got to cut a white cardstock piece because I don't think it would look good just putting those letters right on this blue background. Well, I got excited for a minute because I found these stickers. They're the same style. They are from SEI. I have 2 of this type and then 1 of this. And I thought, oh, maybe I can mix and match. These are way too big. Even smaller ones, they're just there's too much of a mix. of smaller and large, like it's not going to work. So sadly, I can't do that. However, I'm going to go into my pouch here of where I keep most of my smaller alphabets, and I don't think I have anything in here that's multicolored, but maybe I just have like a solid color that would work, or two solid colors to do painted one ladies and the other like I talked about. Otherwise, I don't know how else to do it other than stamp, and I really didn't want to stamp all that out on here. I have found two alpha sets that I think will work. This one, which is an older one from Kelly Perky / Paper Person, and then this, which I've had like a long time. Again, this is another brand that I don't think has been in business for quite a while. You can see on here it says 2018, but I actually found some of those SEI alphabets, and there was one from Piggy Tales. Anybody remember that company? They haven't been around in forever, but it said 2009 on it, so clearly like I don't go through my letter stickers fast enough, but hopefully this will help me get rid of some. I think I have something semi put together here. I found this piece of paper. I went into my purple scraps and I looked at that piece, this one, and then this one. I decided I liked this one the best because it just gave a nice contrast to this, and I like that it's got a diagonal stripe. I think I'm going to use this photo. I'm going to tuck this underneath because this last house is kind of creating a problem. So if I do it like that, and then here's my title. I think I am going to like overlap it like this, and I may round the corners just so like everything isn't so square and pointy on here. I think it might just add a nice contrast, and there is a curve in the stairs here, so I thought maybe that would be okay. But I do think I'm just going to overlap kind of like that. I can't decide if I want it to be like, you'll see a little bit of the picture here showing or not, but then I've got like a huge space that I would need to fill there. Now I could put in like a couple of staples to help offset that, whatever. I'm just not totally sure yet. So I'm going to round the corners here. I do have a corner rounder from Creative Memories that I've had forever. I don't use it a whole lot, but when things like this come up, it's handy to have. All right, so there's my rounded corners. That's how it would look, kind of being overlapped there. Do I like it? I think so. This seems like a little bit more empty space than I would want, but now I'd have to cut down, and it wouldn't work. If I cut it straight, then I wouldn't have enough to round. It would go into the letters, so I'm gonna have to keep that. But maybe then I should throw it out like this, because then it'll look like I have intentional extra space over here too. Maybe that's the way to go. I have it all attached. It's adhered, it's attached. Now I just have to cut down what I don't need. As you can see, I reused a piece of paper where I had made a mistake on the back, rather than cutting into a brand new piece of cardstock, which I always love to do if I can. And now I have to figure out, ooh, I do love the way that looks. I have to figure out, like, do I just want to put staples there? I mean, what else would I put there? I'm not even sure. Yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna do staples. And I have room for a couple there. Is 2 enough, or should I go 3? You know what, I'll leave it at 2. I can always add more if I want. I just feel like this looks blank. Maybe I need to layer something there. Maybe that's what the trick is for this. I looked in all my asterisks and stars and hearts to see if I could find any that had like this green, this olive green in it, and I didn't have anything. But in my enamel dots, I do. So these are from Freckled Fawn. It's kind of hard to see the name there, but that's where I found these. And I have all of these available, so I mean, look at that. That's a pretty good match. So I think I'm gonna put like a big one here, and then I'll sprinkle 2 more around somewhere so that I have an uneven number, which I like. I find it more aesthetically pleasing. When I was looking at the card, I decided it still felt kind of blank on this white space, and then I decided, hey, I could put in a geotag since we're kind of making a new stop. We're in a new area, so I put that up there, and it's kind of a mauve color. It's sort of a cross between these two, I feel like, but it brings in that pink maybe just a little bit. And I do like that because then I feel like all of the colors here are represented well between the photos and the items on there. So I think that's all good. Now I need to figure out something on this side, and I would like to hang something just over the top. Not exactly sure what that is, so I'm gonna have to look through my ephemera pieces that I had packed of things that I thought might work for San Francisco specifically, or I can just look in my generic travel stuff and see if I have something there. I found something in my green stash of ephemera pieces here. So it wasn't in my San Francisco specific stuff, but my general stuff. I found this tag, and obviously it's too huge to use the whole thing, but I'm wondering if I can cut off at the line here and just hang it over. I don't mind that some of this would hang over the top. It actually makes it kind of fun, I think. So that's pretty easy to do. I think I'm just going to cut that down right now, and then the beauty of this is I still have this whole piece that I can use for something, and I'm sure I will. I love that it's got the arrow on it, so you know what, that's cool. But then I can layer this over like so, and then I'll either use an enamel dot in a different color that matches, or I will do a rhinestone for that. Since I have all of my enamel dots out, I decided to just try to find something else that would match rather than do a rhinestone and introduce another element that's different. This way they'll at least feel like they somewhat match. And I have these kind of dusty pink here. Look at that. I think it's a pretty good match to these, kind of in between. So I'm going to use this one, the medium one here. Put that on right there, and then I can attach it. All right, look at that. I have everything put together. It's in the page protectors. I love how that turned out. And I think this actually gives some nice visual interest to have that hanging over the edge. And I was still able to use that other photo that I thought maybe wouldn't work. So super happy about this. Here's another one done for San Francisco. Thanks for watching.